Welcome to Tech Unity. Today we want to explore the magnificence of the Burj Khalifa. We're going to discuss how it was built and the impact this building has had in the world. Like always, make sure to comment what you think and subscribe to keep you updated on all our content. We really appreciate all the feedback we receive. So, let's get started. If you have never heard of the Burj Khalifa, it is one of the world's tallest buildings ever created. The Burj Khalifa is located in Dubai and has broken more records than you can imagine. If you're unfamiliar with Dubai, it is one of the most progressive and wealthiest cities to live in. The population in Dubai over the past 30 years has grown by more than 600%. When you think of Dubai, your mind immediately goes to the wealth the city has, just because it is one of the biggest oil hubs in the world. Dubai has become a modern-day metropolis, located on the edge of the desert with its wealth exuding in all aspects of life there. Dubai is known for its abundance of iconic architecture and massive construction undertakings, and in that comes the most impressive: the Burj Khalifa. The Burj Khalifa was designed based on the Hymenocallis desert flower in abstract form. It stands at a record of 823 meters tall. To give you a better reference of how tall this building is, let's talk about the previous holder. The Taipei 101 was the tallest building up until the Burj Khalifa was created. The Taipei 101, located in Taiwan, stands at 508 meters, over 300 meters taller than its forerunner. Not only is the height impressive, but also the time it took to complete the project. Like life in Dubai in general, the construction of the Burj Khalifa was fast, expensive, and groundbreaking. Building the Burj Khalifa took 1,325 days, which roughly translates to a little over 3.5 years. The excavation of the building started in January 2004, and although it took 3 years to complete, the opening launch did not take place until January 2010. The building itself cost $1.5 billion to create. However, the cost of creating such a historic building was never an issue. Before construction of the Burj Khalifa was completed, the spaces inside the building were already being sold off to bidders. The building was basically paying for itself as it was being created. So, who created this building? Well, to put it simply, a lot of people. But who really deserves the recognition were the designers. After all, such a prestigious project needed the best designers. When talks of building the Burj Khalifa were in the works, there were designers from all over the world competing for this job. The job and the opportunity of a lifetime was given to Skidmore Architects from Chicago. Skidmore Architects was a tower structure specialist, and they needed their knowledge to build such a complex building with that much height. Building the Burj Khalifa came with a lot of obstacles that normal buildings don't run across. How are they going to build a sound structure that looks amazing but most importantly functions? Aside from making the building that tall, they had to make sure it was sound enough to resist any severe weather and figure out how it was going to physically deliver the necessary materials to the high-level building site. They were going to build the tallest building with equipment that needed to reach an extreme height. Let's go back to what the design of the building is modeled after: the Hymenocallis desert flower. The way the building was created was using 3 elements around a central core. As the tower rises, the floor space starts to narrow to provide stability for the tower. The aerodynamics that were created for the tower are built with the ability to withstand severe weather. Now, this is important to note, as the Taipei 101 was created differently. The Taipei 101 was created with the momentum dissipation damper mechanism to help in those extreme situations. The design of the Burj Khalifa, an outline like a 3-pronged star, was crafted to offer strong torsional resistance, which stops the building from twisting and bending the structure in order to resist strong forces. The gradual narrowing of the floors was tested by computer as well as wind tunnels. So the final shape not only stands out as a landmark, but its functional design offers stability for the height off the ground. The construction process was monumental. Remember, no building has been built to this magnitude. It was estimated that 22 million man-hours were put into the actual construction of the building. In total, there were over 12,000 different staff from 100 nationalities working together to make this building come to life. The Burj Khalifa is made up of 39,000 tons of steel rebar and 330 tons of concrete. If we were to lay the steel rebar that it took to make this building, it would stretch to cover a quarter of the way around the globe. In total, over 45,000 square meters of concrete sit in the foundations of the Burj alone. As I mentioned before, there was a challenge building the tallest building with equipment that couldn't reach. Take the cranes, for example. They used 3 cranes around the clock to lift materials all the way to the 156th floor. This would be around 700 meters. Remember that the building itself stands at 823 meters. So, they still have about 123 meters they needed to reach. What comes up must come down. So they had not only to develop plans to get the cranes and equipment to the top of the building, but they also needed to put into place how to bring the cranes back down. Pumping the concrete high up on the building core was something that was never done before. Pumping the concrete required 200 bars of pressure, which no engineer has ever achieved. The Burj Khalifa required over 300 engineers just to apply to exterior cladding in addition to the construction crew. At the peak of the building is an iconic spire, a telescopic structure that is made of over 4,000 tons of structural steel. Beating out the Taipei 101 as the tallest building was not the only record that the Burj Khalifa broke. In fact, let's talk about the complexity of the elevator design. Because of the height of the building, they could not build an elevator that ran from the ground floor all the way to the top. What they did instead was build 3 main elevators, which they call sky floors, that acted as hubs for smaller elevators to travel within the building. The central service elevator, which acted as one of the main hubs, rises in the building over 500 meters, making it the highest single-rise elevator there is. The building broke a record for having the highest rise elevator on Earth. In total, the Burj Khalifa holds 57 elevators, which itself is astounding if you think about it. Not only was building the structure complex, but so was the ongoing operation of the building. Take the plumbing and electric in the building. They do not run straight through. What they have done instead is to create a double-sized story on about every 30th floor to provide space for the equipment needed for the tower to function properly. These floors carry electrical substations, water tanks, pumps, and air handling units. The pumping of water was an issue because of the height and humid desert environment. Remember, the humidity in the desert required the building to create a significant amount of cooling throughout the building, on top of the general use water has in the building. As a result, they had to create a separate piping system internally to deal with that cooling liquid and condensation. On average, the building uses about 250,000 gallons of water in order to function. We've talked about the ins and outs of the building, but let's talk about the actual beauty that it holds. Remember, this building is in Dubai, one of the most prestigious and richest cities in the world. Maintaining that standard of a shiny and beautiful symbol in the country is important. Keep in mind, customers paid for the Burj Khalifa long before it was completed. They paid for the views as well as the luxurious surroundings. To keep up with this standard, the Burj Khalifa features telescopic, permanently positioned maintenance and window washing. Yes, there are people dangling 800 meters outside the building to maintain the appearance, as well as the equipment to this building. Hopefully none of them are terrified of heights. This must be one of the most hair-raising jobs that have ever been created. Hopefully the pay is worth it. The entire outside of the building is cleaned every 3 to 4 months. Lastly, let's talk about what the Burj Khalifa houses. The Burj offers many different things. It houses hotels, public viewing platforms, businesses, office spaces, and very luxurious private residences. It also offers residents certain lifestyle elements, like fitness centers and pools. It's been 11 years since the Burj Khalifa has been developed, and in that time, it has built its own community within the building. Their building itself is so diverse, but that doesn't take away from the luxury. To visit the top of the Burj Khalifa, to simply take in the view, would cost you upwards of $100. If you are looking to stay in the Giorgio Armani designed hotel inside the Burj, a standard double room would cost you $700. And that's only if you're okay with not going higher than the 39th floor. Of course, if you want a better room, it'll cost you thousands of dollars a night. After the great success that the Burj Khalifa has had, many other countries are looking to develop similar buildings. India, for example, is in talks to build a 110-story structure in Mumbai, while South Korea is also looking into the possibility. There was a rumor that was started that the Burj would not be beat, and if anyone were to try, they would simply add more floors. As interesting as that may sound, it's just that, a rumor. There is no possibility on expanding the Burj Khalifa. Even if the Burj Khalifa were to be surpassed by anyone, it will not deter it from being a symbol of Dubai's prosperity and technological advancements. The Burj Khalifa is simply iconic. So, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. As I mentioned before, make sure to let us know what you think by dropping a comment and subscribe to our channel to keep you up to date with our latest content. This is Tech Unity. Until next time, have a great day.